This is a brand new segment of the show called Dear Realtors, where we're focusing specific on real estate businesses. Welcome to the Purpose with Purvis Show. I'm Jacklyn Purvis, and I'm here with my dad, my mentor, my business partner, Jamie Purvis. We're the father-daughter coaching team and co-founders of the Be Do Have movement. Each week, we're going to be diving into real-life strategies, inspiring stories to help you dream big, find your purpose, and take actionable steps towards living the life you've always wanted. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share to get the latest episodes first. Let's get started. As Jamie, you've been in the industry, obviously, 35 years plus here. You've been through the highs and lows yourself. You've now coached other agents through this experience as well. So you've been through this, and let's dive right into what are some of the biggest challenges that they're going through right now.
Feeling some pain, feeling some struggle, feeling some overwhelm, fear. Where's the next deal coming from? Could be a combination of all that. And the interesting thing is not everybody is to the same degree, but I think there's varying degrees of pressure that people are feeling right now, especially this time of year. You know, we're coming into the middle of Q4, latter part of the year. And you know what? There might not be a bright future in front of them for the rest of this year. So people are really nervous on how am I going to do my next transaction.
I think what you just said there is key, right? There's a true fear. It's not just almost, well, from just what I've seen, right, in some of our clients in our programs, it's not even necessarily like just stuck with like what's the best next step, but it's like a real life stress. Like there is an income coming through, and you're right, it's Q4, which also means there's holidays coming up. Like there's a lot of personal life happening right now. And when you don't have business coming through, like that stress is real.
Pressure. I was talking to an owner of a company and she was sharing with me, like, people are just, they need to make money. Training, we're trying to help them as much as we can. And like, they're just stressed. Like, I need to do a deal. Like that's really what's underlying the surface right now.
I want to peel this back a little bit. You have been in the industry, is it 35 or how many years exactly now?
Yeah, 38 years now.
Looking at what's happened here, right? Like you were through a crash, end of the 80s, early 90s. Tell me a little bit what that was like at that time, because you were a solo agent. At this stage of your life, you guys were just starting to have a family. What was that like?
I had no idea what was happening. And I think that's pretty common with what agents and realtors are going through right now, is it seemed to slow down slowly, and then suddenly. And back in the late 80s, when the market turned and stopped, it actually went down for 7 years. So imagine every year the market dropped, sales dropped, the number of real estate agents in the business started going down. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And the hardest part, believe it or not, was that first year to 2 years, because you didn't know what was happening. You know, when I was in the business for the first 3 years, everything was great. You know, I was making a lot of money and sales were happening and there was no pressure. People were buying, selling, the economy was great. And then interest rates started to go up, just like they did a couple of years ago. And they started to go up to a point where people started to lose their homes. They couldn't afford the mortgage payments. Jobs started to dissipate. Companies were laying people off. Very similar to what people are going through now. But what I didn't know back then was I wasn't a very good salesperson. I rode the wave of an industry. I just took advantage of a great market by being a realtor in the space. And I really didn't have to develop my sales skills until the market turned. And then I started to understand I needed to become a better salesperson. I had to learn the language of sales. I had to learn how to incorporate um, conversations to help people get through tough times, because people were losing their homes. As a salesperson, I think one of the first things we can control is how good are we at what we do? Have we mastered our skills? And that's what got me through. The first couple years back then was just trying to stay afloat and figure it all out. And then I started to get better skilled, and then I was able to work within the market that we were in. This is sort of the transition that's happening right now for a lot of people. I'm hearing a lot of agents are getting out of the business. They have other jobs. They've probably not going to renew their license in the new year as all the dues become payable. So as a result of that, there's people that are leaving the industry and they're exiting from the industry But that hasn't even shown up in the numbers yet, but it's showing up in the fact that people are having a hard time making money
Yeah.
and doing transactions.
Something you just shared there really is that key lesson of as much, yes, you're helping people figure out their home and get that next step and providing that service. But underneath that service, what I heard you say anyways is there's an ability to sell. So the skill that you're talking about is the ability to help people get what they want through selling though, and understanding what that means and being quote unquote a better salesperson, and not in a negative light, like it's sleazy or anything like that. But it is in challenging times, like how do you help buyers take the leap right now? How do you help move the sales forward even when there's so much against you?
Think a lot of people struggle with the concept of even being a salesperson. And I learned from a mentor very early on in life that sales isn't something you do to somebody, it's something you do for them. So you're helping them get what they're looking for. And when I learned to put myself in the buyer or seller's perspective, try to figure out, what are they looking to do? Why do they want to buy? Why do they want to sell? What is their goal? As a great salesperson, you learn to ask a lot of questions. A lot of people talk too much as salespeople. They try to sell people and tell them why they should be buying instead of just asking questions and finding out what's important about the whole buying and selling process for somebody. It was a learned skill, was listening. And as I became a better listener, I was able to connect with people at a deeper level. And then people started to just sort of trust what you're doing and why you're doing it. I've always said I've never sold a house. I help people get what they're looking for, which is real estate. And I help them transition into buying or selling because I really do feel I mastered my sales skills. And it took a bad market. It took an economy turning. It took high interest rates. It took the fact that over 50% of the realtors left the industry. It took the fact that the market went down for 7 years. And that we're nowhere close to that right now, but a lot of people feel that. They think it's really bad. And I think anybody that's been around for a while, we have perspective. So we can look at it from the outside and realize, there's some great opportunities right now. And unfortunately, a lot of people may not see it or even be taking advantage of it. And I think that's why we have to look at the opportunity within the market first on ourselves. How do we develop our sales skills first? Forget about the economy. We can't change that. One thing I can control is my ability as a salesperson, my mindset, and staying focused and committed to my personal growth. Right. And as I grow, my business grows. I think the one thing you can do right now is develop yourself, develop your skills, develop your personal growth and your mindset. That's the one thing you can do to help yourself and your clients.
And we'll break down that in a second too. And what I heard you say there that really stood out is it's as much, yes, it's developing your sales skills 100%. And on a deeper level, and like a human term to that, is you're learning how to connect to help your clients get what they want. Like you're helping provide people with a service, and people are scared right now, like not only agents, but people like across the board. The economy is getting hit. That means there's jobs all over the place. Some people are being forced to sell right now in this market. People are scared. So you're learning how to help them through that. And that's like, what's a special word for that? It is sales, yes, but therapy in the sense almost of helping
Yeah.
people move through that process. And that does take skill set to be able to do that. I look at how you help ask questions, and it does flow to you naturally. How did you get to a point, I guess, of learning to figure that out when you went from a market that was really strong and you didn't necessarily need to do that because everything was going so quickly? All the inventory was just flying to a point now where you do need to help your clients through the process.
Remember that inner dialogue. Like, what do I do? Do I get a job? Do I leave? Or do I commit and stay and make this work? And I just made a decision that I wasn't leaving real estate. So that's the first thing. And as I made that decision, me understand that I needed help and support. And that's why I value coaching or mentorship. You need to find somebody that's going to help you, right? If not, we're going to do this all on our own. And sometimes we suffer in silence. Like I was very proud. I didn't want to talk to anybody and share that I needed help. And the sooner you do that, you're going to realize that there's people that can help and support you and the value of a strong community. And I remember when I had several coaches in my career and they all brought so much value at different points and stages. But the common through line between all of them is they believed in me more than I believed in myself. And I think that was something that really helped me when things were bleak and I didn't see how I could get out of it. And I remember at one point, it was just a matter of like, how do I get through this month? Forget about long-term goals. And I sense that's happening right now as well. Like, how do I get through this month? And then what do we do today? I literally had a conversation with a client about that earlier today is what are the two things we can do right now that if you did those two things and put that into your plan, into your schedule and did that every day and nothing else, do that for 30 days and you watch what happens. In his case, the two things were plan the day, what you plan on doing today the night before. So when you wake up, you're ready to go. And then the second thing was to connect with people every day. And we use that language connect. I also discovered this and know this is happening right now. I've been let go. There's a lot of people right now that are behind on their bills. Mortgages have gone up and they're in financial pressure and they're feeling it and they have nobody to talk to. So as a realtor, I became that person. Oftentimes people would say like this sounds like therapy, right? You're in deep relationship with people and you're just having these great conversations to help people get clear on what they need to do. An agent right now, if the focus was let's just connect with people I know. Like open your phone. That is your world. That is your network. If there was just a connection call or a reach out or a text message or an email to everybody that's in your phone, everybody that's in your database and just said, "Hey, I was just thinking of you. How are you doing?" That in itself, you never know how that conversation will impact somebody. And real estate becomes a byproduct of those personal relationships and conversations.
There's a lot to break down in that too, right? It takes a lot of vulnerability, to ask for help. Like there's different stages of this that I've noticed as well. Some people come in and they're hitting a ceiling, but they're doing really well in their business and they can't maintain it. So it's getting support outside of that to get to that next point. Now there's also a time when you're coming in where it's like, I don't know how to get through this. And that's when it feels like the stretch. That's when the investment feels the scariest. And we've been through positions like this too, but that is when you also need the most help because it's easy to get caught in that cycle. It's easy to get caught in the mindset of, am I capable of doing this? Do I need a second job? Like the stress of the family, like there's a million things happening at once. So it's having that sounding ground to now break through that noise happening in the first place. So you can then, okay, figure out what is the best next step for you. And anyone listening to this, it's not always one size fits all. That best next step for every single agent is going to be different based on how you operate your business, what your strengths are, who your ideal clients are. But figuring out what that next step is and then executing it consistently and giving yourself like a 90-day period of that's all you're going to do next.
So you're either going to be proactive and look to get to that next level, create a change in your results, whether things are already really good, how do they get better? Or when things aren't going well at all, how do we get to that next step by being vulnerable, right? And then finding the time and finding the money. Like time and money are things that everybody's feeling pressure with, right? A lot of the world is feeling that because interest rates have been up where they've been so long. And just look at the macro events in the world, right? Companies are laying people off everywhere. So, it's not just the real estate agents in space that is feeling this. It's global. I've been always happy and love connecting with people and finding out what makes them tick. So it's just a natural progression for me to have these conversations. But when you're stuck and you're worried about, I need to get a deal done to keep the lights on, you're not thinking about anything. And I think that blindness sometimes keeps us stuck in the darkness of possibility.
And it does create, in a sense, like an energetic shift. Even if you're coming and meeting with a client, but you're feeling all of this stuff at home, like people can sense that, whether it's a matter of fact, like straight up, or there's just some weird energy happening. Up that and make it about the person that I'm speaking to.
And that's hard if you're in the moment where you need a deal and I got to eat and I got to pay the bills and you're literally feeling that tightness. And in sales, we call that commission breath. Opportunity is even when that's happening, how do I shift my thinking so it feels comfortable and I'm connecting and I'm asking great questions and people are being attracted to me because I'm going to help provide a solution for them versus I'm going to sell them something. That comes with, we talk about the be do have mindset and identity and future self, like putting yourself in a space where imagine you have all the deals you need. You're closing your eyes and you're feeling it, literally feeling it intuitively, like at a deep emotional level, even when it's not reality. right? We say use the actor's technique, right? So imagine you're a famous actor and you get a script and you're reading that script and you have to pretend that you're this person that's on the script. Well, we get to do that as well in our life as salespeople. Put yourself in a position where you don't need the money. You have more money than you need. And if you can do that and literally feel that and emotionalize that, you will become a magnet. Business starts to come to you, it starts to flow.
Because I find that is easy to do when there is even an ounce of momentum forward. It's easy then to be like, okay, okay, we're going to get through. We're good. We're good. Now, if someone's in a position, they're 6 months deep, they haven't had a sale, they're struggling. Like, it's hard sometimes to think, oh my God, when was the best time ever? Nothing feels like good right now. A simple thing they can do immediately to break it for that next in-person thing that's happening.
Okay, visualize and meditation are two really powerful techniques. So, number one is connect the dots to any time in life when you had success. So, like closing your eyes and visualizing success, visualizing when you achieved a goal, visualizing your best year in your real estate business or career, right? Go back in your mind and remember that. So, let your memories bring that to the present and then take that into the future. So those memories, what that does for you is it validates that you've done this before and you can do it again. So it's a behavior and experience that you've already had. It may not be reality today, but we can go back in time, remember that, feel that, bring that to the present, and then allow us to now feel this, think this, and imagine we're taking this into the future. So the past experiences, good and bad, can be transferred into the future. It's what we choose to focus on. Choose to focus on the good experiences, we get to carry that into the future. And that's how you put yourself in that state of, I'm this person today, even if it's not true in your reality, in your bank account. You haven't done a deal in 6 months. So what? So what? Like let's make that a minimum experience instead of blowing it up.
And if that feels tricky to do and you're listening to this and you're just like, I don't get it. I don't know how to do that right now. Like, I feel so disconnected from that. I'm going to suggest two things here. Number one is elimination. What can you eliminate from your environment to help you feel good? And what I'm likely leaning towards is you're maybe in an office, you may have other agent friends right now where they're in a cycle. Eliminate any outside information right now that isn't serving you. That's step one. Step two is setting the state you want to have. And if you're trapped with, I can't connect back to when business was good, because that might be happening for you, I want you to think back to a state of anything good. Maybe it was a celebration, maybe it was a birthday, maybe it was a trip that happened. Tap back into the good state of that. So it's eliminating the BS happening in your life right now. Like, you're putting straight blinders on unless it's good information. And the second step is what you were just talking about here, Jamie, and that's setting your state. So if that's future self-focus based on your business goals, you're able to visualize that again. Great. Do that because it is specific to your business. If you're feeling stuck with that, then you're setting your state based on a previous good experience. And you're just thinking of this before you go into that client call, before you pick up the phone, and even before you send an email.
And then taking the past success as the mindset, feeling it as if, okay, I've got this again, putting that into your mind and your feeling and your state, and then now transferring that energy forward when you start to speak to people. And I think when we can take the pressure off what I want or need from a situation and flip it to how can I serve you? How can I help you? It gets all that out of your mind and you show up as a different person.
And it's giving yourself grace through this. It's okay to admit that this can be a challenging season right now for you, that you're going through a tough time. And there's a level of vulnerability to admitting that to yourself. And perhaps the affirmation you're setting right now is that I can do hard things. I can get through tough times. Perhaps it's those momentum making affirmation reminders that you need to be setting to yourself to get through this phase that you're in. Really is figuring out, okay, what's the current biggest block in my personal business? And that's probably a mindset thing. Or when we say mindset, by the way, it's just like, I'm feeling like crap right now. Like, it's not working. I don't feel motivated. I do feel stressed. Those are all mindset experiences based on your feelings right now. So really honing in on, okay, what area am I feeling that most? And then leaning into, okay, what works for me best when I was at the best point in my business? And then building a strategic plan of action from that point. Workshop coming up called the Power Plan Workshop, where we're going to go into these exact strategies. And we've built it as a 2-hour intensive. So we definitely recommend coming live. There's going to be a recording available. I'll put the details, registration details below. Not going to get into all of it now, but it's to help you do that as easily as possible to get that momentum going forward. The biggest goal is to start 75,000 or more in 90 days. The smaller goal from that is let's start moving forward. Let's get you back into momentum. Let's stop moving backwards and get that strategic action forward, release those barriers that are showing up. How has connecting really the personal growth and your lifestyle development as a human into your business, how have you seen that make the biggest difference?
Everything grows to the extent you do. As I think different, I put myself in situations in rooms. We did a workshop last month where, you're surrounded with a couple hundred entrepreneurs who are, struggling, succeeding, growing together, reading a great book, listening to a great podcast. Like all that's part of the personal growth journey. So it can be a formal process, and it could be informal, but every day making that part of your checklist. What are you doing today to change your thinking? I think of all the programs I've taken, and I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've been in so many coaching programs with so many great people in the industry, and I've picked up something every single time. Every single time I listen to a podcast, like in the morning I work out, I'm listening to something inspiring, powerful, something to stretch my mind. And you're going to know you're in the right place listening and being aware of what people are saying, because you start to get inspiration, you start to get ideas. And as you get ideas, you start to realize you have everything you need. You have the power to move forward. Either have a closed mindset or an open mindset. And an open mindset is having growth. I want more. I want to have a bigger and better life. If it's a closed mindset, I, nothing's going to change. Like I'll just call it out. Nothing's literally going to change until you make a decision you're going to change. And that's the opportunity.
Like real talk here, it's not for everyone. Not everyone thinks like that. So we're definitely speaking to the people that want more for themselves, that have that inkling of like, there is something more for my life. There's another way to do this. Like, I want that growth. That's who we're speaking to with this. And if that's you and you're perhaps feeling a block around the changes that you want to put into place, or you're just feeling really let down from what's happening right now, know that in order to make that behavioral change, it does come down to how you're thinking, and it does come down to the attitude that you hold, and that is your mindset. So start small here. Start with one thing you can eliminate and start feeding your brain and surrounding yourself with people that aren't just dwelling, that aren't in the victim mindset right now, that aren't just complaining all the time, and just start listening to the language that you're saying. The second you say a complaint, just stop. Just stop talking and only speak out loud to information that is either empowering or moving you forward right now, because you do have to be your own biggest cheerleader to get through this, if that's something that you are making the decision to do and willing to do moving forward.
I do believe everybody wants a bigger and better life, but sometimes circumstances and events have happened so often that we've created a story that it's not possible, but it is possible. And if you had somebody in your corner that was able to see through the forest and see through the weeds and see the opportunities, I believe anybody can do this. But you've got to be willing and ready to make that decision, and that sometimes means leaving your environment, leaving your current thinking, your current mental environment, being willing and ready to take a step forward. And if you do that, and just like literally imagine you put up your hand and say, I need help, you're going to see all these opportunities around you. But it takes that awareness and willingness to make a decision to create a different result.
Last thing that you would say to an agent that is feeling stressed, but does want to move to that place of being in a successful place in their business right now?
There's people out there that will support you. You've got to have faith and belief in yourself. And I tell everybody this, like, we can all achieve the goals we set. The minute we make a committed decision, we're moving forward to become the person we need to achieve that goal. So make a decision.
Thank you for tuning in with us today. We would love if you could give us a like, give us a follow, comment below with what stood out with you for you most. We'll include the registration link here, so sign up is now open. If you have any other questions, definitely DM us. Let us know. We're happy to help.